This channel contains official experiments from Minecraft Experiment Studio and victims from them. We tried to collect all the videos, but some were lost forever. If you still have such videos, then send it to the temporary mail, not ours. Minecraft Experiments reupload at protonmail.com. Videos are released in 2010 and 2012. This was the description of a channel named Minecraft Alpha Experiment Log Archive, with 20 videos of strange and disturbing footage, including playlists and unusual posts that we are going to watch in this video. These videos seem to go back all the way to 3 years ago, so let's click on the first one. This video takes place in Minecraft version alpha v1.1.2_01, which does in fact exist and came out in 2010. The players break in a bunch of grass blocks for dirt, and after collecting enough they start building 2 crosses, which seems to be the so-called portal, and after finishing the rest he leaves to grab a rose in which he places it in the middle, stands on it, and looks up. That is the end. Okay, so we know he's building a portal to hell, and I assume the rose he's grabbing is necessary for it to work. There's not much about what the rose symbolizes, but since it's red, it could be that it resembles the place hell. But that's really all the info we got in the actual video. Apart from one thing, the description. We get a little bit of extra info here. Unfortunately, the experiment got out of control. If a strange player with white eyes appears in your world, then let us know. Account used 9x99. It explains that after the player looked up, the experiment got out of control and summoned a white-eyed player, and obviously, that player is probably Herobrine. But we can't see what happened, as that's exactly when the video cut. It also says what account was used, 9x99. This is going to be important knowledge for later. Tree is being mined in the forest, when a name that sounds familiar joins the game, 9x99. When the player types in chat, we notice that we are watching a different account. Their name is Dasmus11_, and exactly around this mark, something in the top left shows, look to understand more. It points straight to the description, which is exactly why this video I wanted to record it, showing it in the actual YouTube, because I thought it was cool that the info card actually says something, and it could be important. Description reads, I was the only one on my server, when suddenly some strange player came to me. First victim to meet him after the experiment. The version on which the video is recorded is version 1.2.6, and the video recording date 11/10/2010. Date of experiment unknown. This is from Dasimus' perspective, explaining he saw the strange player and was the only one on the server, but then the next line confused me. First victim to meet him after the experiment? So this player is aware of this experiment, but how? Something interesting to point out as well is that the version it's recorded in is 1.2.6, which came out in December 3rd. It was the last version of the alpha development phase, but the date of the recording is November 10th, a month earlier before the actual version is released. Something to think about, but let's click back on the video. The video is pretty dark, but as Dasimus is crafting, we see another player in the server, but it's hard to make out what their name is. Weird random cuts are happening, and Dasimus is still wondering in the chat who this strange player 9x99 is. Well, soon we get a closer look. 9x99 has the ability to teleport and is approaching him. He seems to be in the skin of Herobrine and is summoned by portals of hell. I mean, that sounds like Herobrine to me. Eventually 9x99 catches up and the video cuts. What's going to happen to Dasmus11? This is the second experiment from a version that doesn't even exist in Minecraft. If we look at the description, we can see this is a different player instead of 9x99 this time. They go by the name of M7MarkS_, but we'll call him Mark for short. This also seems to be the first creature version, whatever that means anyway. Mark has some dirt and sand. While also needing to pick up some dandelions. Apart from the items he has from the start, he seemed to just be playing the game normally. Though I looked around the video, including the comments, and found more about the version. According to this comment, it seems to have existed at one point, but unfortunately is lost media. Continuing off Decimus 11's POV, he seems to be still in the same forest area, but out of nowhere, he gets attacked. From what? It must be an invisible player, and it's safe to assume it's probably 9x99 as he's in the same world. But see, this guy is a massive troll, so that's not the end of this invisible tormenting. Blocks start breaking around him and the punching continues. Judging by the title of this video, Decimus might not have as much knowledge to know this is an invisible player, so he classifies it as an oddity. Which makes sense in the description because all of the writing seems to be from a third person's perspective. None of this is written by the players we see. Decimus crafts some tools and starts digging down, getting some materials, until he eventually goes over to the ice and sees a terrifying message. Die. With a smiley face. What we can gather from this video is that the invisible player, most likely 9x99's goal is to haunt the innocent player with a bunch of trolls, even scaring him with a message saying die, potentially won't actually kill him, though this happened only a week after the last video. I looked into the description of this video, and it seems like whoever's account this was believed to be an employee and has been deleted, so either we'll never see who this is, or maybe we might figure that out later. Also, whoever wrote this stated, here is a cool base we came across doing the hack, which means this employee is involved in the hack. Besides that, it seems like this is some random world that is apparently being hacked. The employee goes up the water elevator, then goes back down one, and we see a larger room with some furnaces and crafting tables. They head over to a hidden way door, and we see a staircase, a nether portal, and a hallway. The employee chooses a hallway and enters the mines, which says on the sign, beware danger. However, not even 5 seconds later, they immediately leave it. I don't know if they saw something we didn't, but they head further down to the hallway, and it seems there's more than one mine. But the employee just wanted to check it out, and left to go up the staircase. They end up in a room with some chests. This seems to be some storage area. Immediately they start raiding it, grabbing a sword and some other items. That was it for them though, and back to exploring they go. The employee goes up to the top floor, where we see lava in a pattern, and a door leading to the outside world. They turn around and the world really is hacked. It's got lava as a wall. Maybe this is some defense mechanism. For now, they need to check around the outside, as I believe they're looking for weird bugs. Next to the other place, there's another building with glass and wood all around it, but before they do, we see in the corner of our eye a forest burning. How did that happen? They investigate this base, and the sign in front of it says Amish Paradise. Turns out it's just a regular farm. He exits out the house, following the path on the way to the forest fire. There seems to be no lava near it, and the wood isn't burning, and if it was, not very fast. Though if there's something to get out of this, it's that logs and fire on top usually are a sign of, guess what, Herobrine. Whoever owns this hacked world must have encountered some sort of Herobrine. Extremely strange, but the employee continues and the path doesn't. But down the hill, we see a small cobblestone building, a long mine down. This employee is smart and chooses not to go in. Instead, they head over the hills and we see some light. Going closer, we see some torches and what looks like another mine. This person sure loves mines, but I get it. This is probably a kid's world, and as a kid, you want as much diamonds as you can get. The employee heads back up, investigating a treehouse. Judging by how many builds we've seen, this is definitely not a single player world. There wasn't much in the treehouse, so back to the castle. They explore around and find another room. With the pretend screen and the amount of chairs, this is a theater room. Further up, the employee flicks a lever and opens another room full of paintings. This is probably the weirdest room yet. Expressing art is fine, but this just looks creepy. They exit out and the employee goes even further up, this time on the roof of the castle. It's a pretty high distance up here, but they wanted to go even higher. Now they are at the very top of the castle, a lookout spot, even though all you see is just the sky. It seems like this place wasn't very configured well, as there's no levers on the other side of the door, but it's a classic mistake. The employee breaks through, leading them to the roof, where they jump off, only taking half a heart, which is weird. From that distance you would 100% take more, but anyway, they look around for a bit before jumping off again, barely taking any damage again. They see something in the distance and head over, going up a long grass block staircase, and eventually getting to the top. It appears to be an island, with a miniature version of that house we saw earlier with wooden glass. There's a way in with a very deep mine. The employee goes in, checking it out before before ending the investigation just like that. Before we move on to the next video, I thought it was important to mention how weird the comments are, talking about how this world seems familiar and there's multiple. Have we seen this world already, or is there something way deeper than that? Decimus 11 is back again. Decimus seems to be in a plains biome now, instead of the snowy one he was at earlier. He starts mining wood, crafting, and playing the game again, until he sees something. 9x99 again. He's back in his world. Even though what we saw in Strange Player My World happened, Decimus still feels courageous. Well, for just a second before backing up. But 9x99 just follows and follows until he reaches to him. Instead of the worst possible scenario, he just gives out wool, runs away, and leaves. We assume he was hero-bound because of the weird things he does, like joining a world without permissions, but then he just gives wool to help him make a bed, to sleep. I know he's classified as a strange player, but that's really a nice thing to do. There's something off with that. The next video is only 3 seconds, and well, it's as simple as an alert to danger, but the video is not what we need to look at, it's a description. It reads, "Hello, I am the author of this channel with re-uploads of old experiments that were recently deleted. They were able to delete my video. They're watching me and you. They hacked all the worlds of me, my friends and subscribers of the channel. They have all our data. If you're reaching this video, then run. They are threatening me. They have already come for me in the real world. I could find Mark's data, but he's missing. Help me." To sum it up, the person behind this disturbing footage explains that they somehow got access to this channel, deleted things, hacked his worlds, and are hunting him IRL. Though mentioning one thing, the author found Mark's data, but he's missing. We know who Mark is, as he's appeared in the second experiment video, but we are raised with a lot of questions. Who is they? Why is Mark missing? And who is the author? We don't really have much knowledge to answer these, but let's analyze this anyway. The author is pretty self-explanatory. However, they could mean many things. The employees, 9x99. It would make sense that 9x99, that supposedly Herobrine, is considered they, as we've seen them hack many worlds. But an even crazier question to think about is who is behind 9x99, because in reality, it's just an account, an employee using that account. We don't know who he truly is. And about Mark, we don't have much to go off. Perhaps we'll learn more about his missing mystery in the upcoming videos. This video is in Mark's perspective, where he seems to be on Windows Vista. That means it's been a year since 2010, which was when the first experiment occurred. It seems like he's just playing the game, testing out how it plays on Windows Vista, but about 30 seconds in, the game randomly lags back. That was weird. He seems to be in a glitch world, as we can see by the chunks in the distance. Though, as the video keeps playing, "Look at me" appears at the end. Interesting. This is also another short video, not as short as the previous, but the player is in classic 0.30, and like the description says, we are in Decimus' perspective. This seems to be older than all the other videos Decimus has recorded, as the date is 10/07/2010, but the top of the description states something interesting. I found this video on a 40GB hard drive. It is very strange, because in 2010, I did not have video editing skills. I hope you'll understand me. Decimus. Is this a video that Decimus didn't even record? Anyway, let's keep watching. He's walking around the classic terrain and starts hearing blocks
Jollibee Chicken Joy. Pinaka-juicy at crispy. Walang kapatay ang sarap.
Hearing blocks breaking around him. Looking at this hotbar, we see TNT and he's able to light it up without an FNS. What an interesting version of the game. It blows up and he collects all the blocks, but we still hear those strange noises in the background. Weird. Though when Decimus looks in the distance, we kind of see something strange. I can't make out what it is, but it's not normal. All of a sudden, it starts raining and then this happens. Have a look. He's coming for you. And an attached screenshot which we can see some entity hiding behind the cactus. The video ends following an evil laugh. After the messages, have a look and he's coming for you, we understand that someone is trying to communicate to Decimus through the video, which after that happens. Apart from 9x99 being supposedly Herobrine, this is the first time we see the actual entity, on a screenshot from alpha version 1.1.2_01. But a question raises, who took the actual screenshot? Who's he after? I assume Decimus because of the warning, but I haven't seen him play on this version at all. Usually it's just 1.2.6. If we go back to the first video, the version was identical to this. The only player who played on this version was 9x99. But the thing is, we also see 9x99 with a Herobrine skin go into Worlds before, but he didn't do anything bad. Maybe he was just a normal player after all, and this weird looking entity in the screenshot is entirely a different person. There's not much evidence to back this theory, but it's all we can go off of. Regardless, this entity is after more people, and probably responsible for the missing of Mark. The fourth experiment commences and we are back in this world, only this time on Mark's account instead. It seems like 9x99 needs rescuing, and in the description it turns out he entered the portal and never returned. However, we don't know where he went in Decimus' world, but maybe he's stuck in there. Is he supposed to be able to get out? If so, possibly the entity is after him. Mark looks around for a bit before going into the portal. A loading screen appears and so do a bunch of signs. They read, "Mark, they need you. Please do what I told you before. Remember you exist. Do not listen to them. And remember, don't look at the moon." But the signs cut off. Though Mark reads this and lets this sink in. This actually backs up what I said earlier. These accounts are being used as just an account with the actual human behind it desensitized from what's even going on, even though they're the ones who owned the account in the first place. Mark, Decimus, 9x99, all for the sake of being controlled in this sick experiment. It makes sense now. Whoever this 9x99 character is seems to have some sort of sentience warning Mark to remember he exists. Don't listen to them, which I assume is the employees, and giving him warnings about the moon. When you see those titles, you know we are in Decimus' perspective. Again, he's in this same world, making no little progress, still having the same wood and same wool that he got from 9x99. But when he's walking around to continue playing, a player joins. This isn't 9x99, it's someone we have never heard before, Dronok. Again, Decimus just can't catch a break with these strange players joining his world, but this time, it feels different. Dronok is actually typing, but you can see he's confused, saying things like ouch and where am I? This must be another innocent player who somehow got taken to his world, right? He explains later on that he was just playing in a single player world and randomly ended up here. What's even stranger than that is he doesn't even know how it even happened, though the last message he sent was seeing a Steve with white eyes before all of a sudden he left. Steve with white eyes is clearly hinting at Herobrine. And well, not long after, 9x99 joins the game and starts laughing. Eventually, Decimus' game makes weird movements and he immediately leaves. Looking in the description, we can notice a couple things. Firstly, there's a dialogue at the top. Let's read it out. "Mark, we don't have time anymore. Do this. I don't want. Others may get hurt. Don't think about others. Think about us. Why do you need all this?" I'm not sure. What we can get from this is Mark is supposed to be doing something, and he doesn't want to, as it could cause hurt to others, but whoever is on the responding side has the opposite opinion and seems to try and convince Mark to do something he doesn't want to do. If we go to the last video before this, where he goes through the portal to quote-unquote rescue 9x99, he ends up with signs telling him to remember who he is and not to listen to him. Perhaps Perhaps this is the other side of the conversation where them is talking to Mark, convincing him to hurry up and listen, even though he saw signs as a warning not to listen to them earlier. Whoever wrote the signs is probably the one who was trying to look for Mark in the first place, the one who mentioned Mark was missing, the author. Unfortunately, we still don't know who the author actually is, and this theory isn't backed up enough. Lastly, instead of the account name, it now says victim for Decimus. He's became a victim. The entity is getting to him.
Attention, some of the videos have been faked by the lab technicians. This is to hide the whole truth. We deeply apologize for the inaccurate information. Now we will explain how to understand whether the video is faked or not. We have no Russian-speaking people. No one in the lab uses Windows Vista. Many videos have incorrect dates. The head of the laboratory will soon find out who faked many fragments without authorization.
Images in the video pop up. The first one I'm not sure, but the second is the portal, and after watching this, you're probably just as confused as I am. This feels like it contributes nothing to the story, but turns out in the description is a PS saying that this is actually just a made up video to confuse whoever is in charge of this sick experiment in the first place, pretending that all these videos on here and all the dates are incorrect and false, but in order for them not to be as suspicious, this video had to be made. We are now in the search for Mark, in the perspective of Decimus. If Decimus is searching for Mark, then the player Dronok we saw earlier is possibly Mark, as he did go through the portal that 9x99 went through and it teleported him exactly there, which is why he is aware of Mark. Anyway though, the search begins. He loads up his world and turns out he has two, but he clicks on the first one. This world doesn't seem familiar, as the only ones we have seen is when he has a wool in his hotbar. Unless thrown out, this is probably a different world. He explores around for a bit until eventually we see it. The portal. This is the world where the portal was made, but why does Decimus have it? Perhaps there was a link at one stage to download the world. I don't know. He goes to grab a flower, which is what is used to activate the portal, but instead of grabbing a rose, he grabs a dandelion, then places it and teleports. A user named Kojbon12 is looking directly at him, but we don't know who he is, except he has a Herobrine skin on too, similar to what is described as the entity, and even a similar shading from that one screenshot in Classic 0.30. Decimus asks where Mark was, but Kojbon explains he hasn't been here for ages, but Decimus needs him as Mark holds something special to him. Kojbon though comes back with saying this: "You shouldn't be here for too long." Then Decimus says, 9x99 needs me, I can't do it without Mark. Kojbon explains that he's been imprisoned here and feels stuck, but whoever is in control doesn't want Kojbon to say anymore and tells Decimus to go away, ending it by killing him. His game crashed after. According to the comments, the crash report at the end supposedly isn't real, so I wonder what happened after that. That's definitely a cover up for something. Decimus loads up a world again, the same world with the portal led to hell. He heads over there, and this time there's already a rose on it. Last time though, he placed a dandelion, so this wasn't his portal. This is the same one 9x99 went through at the start. The same one Mark went through when he was on the move to rescue 9x99. Are they the same person? Decimus hesitates for a bit, before eventually deciding to go in. Immediately we see two familiar name tags, 9x99 and Kojbon 12. There seems to be a conversation between them. "I told you, you shouldn't be here. Your friend's looking for you." As he says that, Kojbon 12 slowly peeks out and we notice his head has multiple eyes. He can see from any direction. He knows Decimus is here even if he was looking at 9x99. That's creepy. Hence why he mentioned to 9x99 that his friend was looking for him. Not long after though, the video glitches, and in the bottom left you can see text saying he lied to you, help me. I believe since the timing of Decimus showing up, it's probably implied on him. If that's the case, Kojbon 12 lied about earlier, saying he's trapped here and imprisoned in this so-called hell. I think that was just to get Decimus out. Another thing to point out is 9x99's username. What does it even mean? If you do 9x99, it equals 891, which according to the internet is an angel number. The angel number 891 is a powerful message to trust your hard work and positive attitude aligns to bring new opportunities in your life. Now 9 times 99 has done some trustable things like giving Decimus wool, but other times he's been extremely unusual. So I wouldn't call him an angel, but he sure is manifesting an abundance of opportunities, most likely with this so-called experiment. After that, the video stopped there for an entire year. We waited and waited until we got an explanation. We still don't know who the creator/author is yet, and it can't be one of the characters we already know, since the author talks about them all in a different perspective, calling them accounts or victims. Also, they explain in the video that whatever is after them is chasing them down from country to country, but will continue to keep posting. So they have to be somehow related to the experiment, probably as one of the staff. The next video gives us some answers. This must be the location of the experiment, aka the lab area, but skip a couple frames and we see this picture here. It's a list of staff, with Kojbon 12 being on the top of it, and well, that proves our theory of him lying correct, because why would he lie and say he's imprisoned if he's one of the staff? It all makes sense now. We also see a few other names blurred out. The second one seems short, so it's probably 9x99, and the one under it that has a K at the end, the only player we've seen that has something similar to that is Dronok. Perhaps he's one of the staff. The last frame of this video is showing a happiness room, but is there really happiness in hell? Decimus has entered the lab. He wakes up after being hit by Kojbon 12 earlier and sees him across the room. We notice that in the top left that where he is got so corrupted that his versions are overlapping. Decimus looks around before sneaking up. Kojbon turns around and stares at him. Everyone here seems to have a normal Steve skin like it's a dress code. Decimus begins to chat. What is this place and where am I? Why do you have a different skin? But when Kojbon responds, we get a massive clue in the story. This place is your last seconds as a normal person. This is where Mark turned into 9x99. This whole time 9x99 was Mark as a disguise, but it makes sense now. If we go back to the video rescuing 9x99, he jumps in the portal and signs appear warning himself, but there's no 9x99 to begin with. If there was, why would there be signs telling Mark to remember his existence? Anyway, back to the video, Decimus responds with, "Why am I only being brought here now? You were the closest to solving the mystery of the lab without being reborn. I tried to save you from that fate, but you were too curious." Decimus responds with, "What do you mean, you tried to save me from that fate? Those crazy people somehow found out that the test subject had learned things he wasn't supposed to know, and they were always going to meet that fate, which is why I didn't give you clear answers." It seems like Decimus dug too deep into his fate, and Kojbon had to lie so Decimus didn't have any clearer answers. Wait, I can just get out of the game with this information I have, right? But Decimus can't disconnect. He can't leave. He head towards an area we are familiar with, the staff list, and I was exactly right. They were, in fact, both staff. A little later, Kojbon says this in the chat. "I tried it too. This version was made by them, so you can't close the game at this point. By the way, you're already here." The people who made this whole lab experiment made this version so none of these players can escape when they eventually end up here, forced to be controlled with. But still, if Kojbon wanted to get out of this as well, why is he on the staff list? Kojbon goes to a test room number 21 and Decimus follows. They reach another room guarded by an iron door. Decimus goes in and it seems like some sort of machine with crying obsidian blocks under it. Decimus enters it, and Kojbon exits out the room to start some sort of process. This is where it all goes wrong. Decimus is now Rhino 212. His existence is gone, and yet Kojbon still runs away with his lies. Another oddity appearance occurs from a new victim this time by the name of ColdKill19. He loads up in a weird looking world. It seems all corrupted. He explores around a bit before going to mine some wood, and everything all of a sudden gets dark. As worried and confused as he is, he still tries to play the game and keep calm. He looks around before spotting something in the distance, but it's censored with a black box. He tries to go closer, but it disappears. Looking around, he turns facing a lake with sheep, and we spot something that has more color than everything else. A dandelion. The video cuts and comes back to images of this player going into the founder's room. We are back to Decimus and Kojbon. When Kojbon asked, "Hey Decimus, used to being one of us?" Decimus or Rhino responds with, "Hey, am I still seeing and writing in chat if I'm sealed into the game?" The video glitches and Kojbon says, "I don't know." Then all of a sudden, 9x99, aka supposedly Mark, joins the game. It was time for Decimus and Mark to finally talk again. Decimus starts a conversation, but unfortunately Mark doesn't know who he is. Confused, he's supposed to be talking with someone else. Decimus instantly saddened by that answer. The video cuts back with Koshbon telling Decimus that there's been multiple people using 9x99 instead of just Mark. But then where is Mark then? Turns out he broke an important rule, and that results in death. Just like the title, he was killed by the founder. Poor Decimus just wanted to see Mark again, going through all this journey, all this pain, and realizing in the end that he's dead. Must have been incredibly heartbreaking for him to hear that. That was it. We are left on a sad ending. The end for the channel's videos. There is one more, but it's unfinished and they're still posting, working on more parts, so that's about it for this video. I hope Decimus can get revenge on the founder. He made this sick experiment in the first place. Thanks for watching.
Hello, hi Bessie, speak pain.
a lot